teaching people about resilience is not an easy feat. And the reason for that is too often people are focusing on themselves, on their and what they have to do, on their feelings, and how sometimes they feel stuck. Now, if you want to show people that resilience is achievable, you need to have them reflect on what they're actually doing so that they can step back and say, okay, what are the key activities, the key things I need to do, and what are the things that I need to set aside? And too often people forget that. When we think about our lives, we say, oh, our lives are busy and our lives are stressful. Okay. Often people say, well, let's make our lives less stressful. But the question is, how can we get that? Some people say, well, sleep more, eat more, but you still have a lot of things to do. Sometimes you feel that your to-do list is so long that you don't know where to start, so you can actually feel that you can rest at some times. So here are three things we're going to talk about today. One is about a not to-do list. The other one is about delegating, and the other one is about automating. And let's see if I can share some of those. The first one is about the idea that we all have to-do lists. We have to-do lists for work, for our family, for our home, for activities, friends, social engagements, companies, and so on. Lists go on forever. And the issue with that one is once you look at the list, sometimes you get overwhelmed. Some people say, well, if you keep all the things you have to do in your mind, it's going to take energy out of you and it will be hard for you. But downloading all the things in our minds on a piece of paper or on an app to list all the things we have to do, that is also overwhelming. People say, oh, the list is so long, and then they go and watch a couple movies and go on social media. The reason is sometimes it's so hard to actually start addressing the things on our to-do list that we prefer not to start. So here are some ideas. First one is what I call the not to-do list. A couple of days ago, I talked about the fact that when there are things that needs to be done, you have to ask yourself, does this have to be done? Does it have to be done by me? And does it have to be done by me now? So when you have a not to-do list, you can put a few things. First, you can transfer from your to-do list to the not to-do list all the activities that usually or that you can consider irrelevant for your life. So that means that, for example, if on the things to do you need to clean the garage, but you know it's going to take hours, well, you could say, well, it's on my list of things to do, but let's see if I can put it on my list not to do, but the not to do list now. So you could input in the agenda, let's put it on Monday or Saturday. And then you look at other things you have to do and say, okay, let's see. Having to go to the city and ask information about a program, for example, something that a friend of yours asked for, or someone asked for help, and you know it's going to take several hours, but basically they're not friends that are not very good friends, and you know that they ask you because you can do it, but it's not because they care more about you than others. So you have to say, okay, so maybe helping that friend or that friend, it's not necessary. Reading this book or this book, it's not necessary. Maybe it is to go shopping for this store and this store. Maybe it's not necessary. Going on social media and spending 3 hours on different topics. Maybe that's not necessary for you or getting you closer to your end goal. So you said, okay. So from all the things on your list of things to do, or even things that you are doing and that you feel that sometimes you're wasting time, let's see if you can put them on the not to do list. Then it gets off your main list, and then the idea is it releases some of the tension that is put onto your to-do list and sometimes make you procrastinate or don't feel comfortable. Okay. So you have a not to-do list. Whatever is on there, you're not going to look at it ever. And you know what? Your life will be able to go on. On the list of not to-do list now, then you can say, okay, There are 4 things. Let's see if I can put one for Saturday, one Monday, one Tuesday, and one Thursday. So you don't have to think about those anymore because you already have set them up on next week. You know it needs to be done, but not now. So it will free the energy, free time, free some of the willingness to do something, but not knowing where to start. And then you're left with a few things, and then you can attack those. The next one is about delegating. The whole idea of delegating is sometimes there's a lot of people that can do things better than you, and therefore may as well have them help you. Too often people don't know how to help each other, and sometimes they ask, what can I do to help? And sometimes we don't know what to say. Now, if someone how can I say that? If you work for a company and you need to deliver something, you can ask a friend, or you can there's a lot of services for courier, services for accounting, services for calling people, making appointments. There's a lot of services that can allow you to do what needs to be done. But sometimes you don't have to do those personally. And that's when you have a lot of things to do. And at some point you realize, okay, maybe I need an assistant. Maybe I need someone to help me. So sometimes it could be free. Some people love helping. You may have volunteers, or you may say, okay, well, it's worth hiring someone that can help me doing some of those activities. And I could pay them, I don't know, $20 or $25 an hour. Whereas when I focus on the things I want to do or I need to do, I'm earning $100 an hour or $50 an hour or even $1,000 an hour. There's sometimes when we do activities that are not at the caliber that we need to focus on, then it drags us down. So I think that's the whole idea. And at some point you notice that you're very busy and it's time to hire someone to build a team. And I'm still working on that one. The third part is about automating. I was giving the example to my students this morning. You know, when you have to wake up the morning like early the day after because you've got a meeting at 8 a.m., but then you notice that you forgot your phone, you don't have a watch, and then you worry that you're going to sleep in the morning. And then you worry all night about the fact that you don't want to get up late. And what happens is you don't sleep very well, and then you're exhausted the day after. So some of us, sometimes when I need to get up, what do? I use my phone and I have an alarm. I have also a watch, I have an alarm, and I have another alarm in my room. So what happens is I have 3 backup for alarms, and I know that they will be there for me, and therefore I can rest, and it releases my stress, and I have great night of sleep. So this is what I called automating. The other one is there's some program to automate email marketing, to email communication with people. Sometimes you can create a process, and the process is actually this idea that you are automating something so that you don't have to think about it every time, but everybody knows what to do and how it goes. It follows a logical aspect, and at the end of the day, whatever you need to do gets done, and you are happy, you're not as stressed, and you are having a positive influence with people around you. So you say, well, that sounds easy, but how do I deal with that? Well, the best thing for me is always, as I say, use a piece of paper and you can write it down on paper. And the reason for that is if it's on paper, the beauty of that is that you download it from your mind. It could be an agenda. I would not suggest to use a personal journal because a personal journal is usually with emotions, how we feel, and what we want to do. Whereas when you have a to-do list, usually it's something that you want to do with goals, and an agenda tends to be better. Some people sometimes use a whiteboard. Some other people use Post-it sometimes. I know that I was listening to Kevin O'Leary, and one of his idea, or he mentioned that an idea was great. He said, before you go to bed, you list 3 things on a Post-it, 3 things that you need to do the day after, the most important thing, and you put it on the mirror in your washroom. So when you get up in the morning, this is the first thing you see. And by seeing that first thing, what happens is you can focus on what matters, on the specific, and anything else that can come up through the day. You could say, okay, I don't have time for this, but let's see if I can ask this person Let's see if I can hire a company to do this one. There's a lot of websites like Fiverr. There's where you have freelancers, and all they want to do is help you with a fee, but still help you reach your goals. So this is my idea today about how we can build resilience, not only by the fact that there's stressful days. I'm not saying that stress needs to be eliminated 100%, but how can you manage the stress, manage the things that you need to do so that it's easier for you every day. On this, I'm going to share here a link to the next video. You'll see, you'll find it amazing.